Guys, Dan here, and today I have a nice Photoshop tutorial for you on how I created this music player UI. But before we get into that, I like to say I'd like to point out, which if you haven't already noticed, I have a new microphone. I now have a desktop mic. I have a Snowball, so I'm obviously still figuring out the settings, what is best for it, for this anyway. The setting I'm using now seemed to be the best. It picked up. The only thing it really picks up in the background is my fan on my computer because it's really loud. It's at max power the whole time, which is kind of annoying, but I can't change that. And it picks up obviously my keyboard. Anything picks up a mechanical keyboard, and it does pick up my mouse, but I don't think clicking's really that bad. It's really subtle, and I actually kind of like clicks for some reason. It's kind of like a guilty pleasure when I'm watching tutorials. I like the sound of a click. I guess that's just some weird personal preference I have, but yeah. So this seemed alright, but obviously if anyone can't hear me properly or something's bugging you, obviously leave it in the comments and I'll see if I can fix it. But yeah, the tutorial, let's get onto this because I don't want this video to be too long, because like I've said before, my file sizes, if they get too big after about 15-20 minutes, and it just takes like years to upload with my crappy upload. But yeah, showing you how I created this. I'm going to do a lot more tutorials like this where I'm going to make stuff. I'm going to show you how I made it. You'll learn some stuff along the way, hopefully. And if you're looking specifically for a UI of a music player, I guess you come to the right place. And obviously if you don't like what it looks like now, you can obviously click away. If you do, then you can keep watching. So I might rush a little bit because obviously, like I said, I don't want my file size of the video to get too large. So if there is anything I miss, maybe I just completely missed something because I'm obviously rushing a little bit. I'm sorry, but it does happen. So the resolution is entirely up to you. I did 1920 by 1080 at 72 resolution, obviously, because it's a screen-based thing, and obviously RGB color because you want color. So obviously whatever you want, 1080p basically. I just made it like a full screen application type thing. So obviously if you want it smaller, make the resolution smaller. Background, we're just going to double click that to unlock it, and then we're going to fill it with a color, and this color is going to be selected from the color libraries part here on the picker, and we're going to make sure we're down on the Phantom solid coated, and we're going to pick a dark blue, and then we're looking for a specific one that is Phantom 296C. This one here, it's like a really dark midnight blue, and it works beautifully for this. I found it on like a Behance project. Someone used it in one of their designs, and they put it obviously in there, and they said they used this color, and I was like, nice, I'm gonna get that. Now what we need is an image. This image is from unsplash.com. This website offers free stock photography even for stuff you're selling in commercial use, so I highly recommend, and there's so much, and it's so good. I fucking love this website, so yeah, highly recommend. This is the one we're going to be using here, this kind of bamboo tree thing. Bamboo tree? Or is it just called bamboo? Or is it a type of tree? I have no idea. So we're just going to right click, copy image. You can obviously save it to your desktop or wherever and import it into Photoshop. But we're just going to copy and paste that. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to line it up with the center. We're going to zoom out, and we're going to bring the image scaled down to about 1080p. And if you hold Shift and Alt while pulling on an image, it should pull it in proportion from all sides. So we're going to bring it down like that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go to the center. We're going to make sure we're still on this layer, and then we're going to go to crop, and we're going to just hit enter twice. Basically that's just going to crop this image to the side of the canvas and delete anything outside of that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set this image to linear dodge add. You can set it to screen as well. It really doesn't make much difference other than it's slightly bright on linear dodge add. And then we're going to set the opacity to 20%. It's entirely up to you how much you change this. This is just what I did on the other one. So obviously everything I do here really is down to you, but this is kind of a guideline of what I did to create that other look. So we're going to go to blur, Gaussian blur, and we're just going to blur this by about 25 pixels. I'd say from 25 to, or maybe from like about 15 to 50, depending on your image. This one worked really well with 25, so we're just going to roll with that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a new layer, and then we're going to go to our brush tool, and we're going to right click, and we're going to find just a feathered brush, and we're going to put it at about 500 pixel size. Obviously if your resolution's lower, you might want to lower that a little bit. We're going to go to our brush settings. You can either go to window brush, or you can hit F5 as a shortcut, and we're going to tick shape dynamics, scattering and transfer. And in shape dynamics we're going to turn size jet all the way up, scattering we're going to put scatter all the way up with both axes ticked, and then transfer we're going to have both the opacity and flow jet all the way up, which you already are here. And then we're going to tab out of that, and we're just going to make sure I really went with full retard there with my words. I kind of like I don't even know. We're going to select this to white, and we're just going to brush across like once or twice and maybe dab it, something like that. That looks nice. And then we're just going to set that to overlay and put the opacity to about 50. 50 look good. Yeah, 50 looks good to me. And that just adds, some slight variation. It's ever so slight, but every little helps, I guess. And now what we're going to do is we're going to either just literally go and get our artwork, or we're going to make a shape that we can clip the artwork into, which is what I'm going to show you here. So if you want to do it this way is usually better, because you can actually lay what you want out first before you actually have the image, and then you can actually clip the image into where you actually would want that whole thing to show. And if that made no sense, then I can show you. So we're just going to basically all I did was went on the shape tool and I clicked once. One right click, left click, my bad, and it should bring up this if you're on a new version of Photoshop, and we can actually type in the dimensions of the shape, and we're just going to center this for now. As you know, obviously on the main one it wasn't centered, and as you can see I did it in here. You can see I actually have this clipped into this shape because I wanted to lay it out first. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to some artwork so I can show you what the hell I'm talking about. I'm just going to use a piece of my artwork that I made for a song that I made. If you want to listen to it, you can go on my SoundCloud. I'm not that great yet. I'm learning still. And we're just going to make this slightly bigger than the square itself. And then basically what we're going to do is hold Alt in between the two of these, and now create a clipping mask. I do have a tutorial on that, on how that works and why to do it and stuff. But yeah, that basically just only shows where it'll clip everything into this shape here. That's basically what's going on here. So now what we're going to do is on this rectangle layer, we're going to go to our blending options, and we're going to put inner shadow on, and we're going to make sure this is white, set it to overlay, put the opacity all the way up, the distance to 1 and the size to 0. And basically what this is going to do, as you can see as I untick and tick, adds this slight, like, I don't even know what it is, like a highlight on the top. Really nice effect, subtle but works. And then we're going to go to drop shadow. We're going to set the opacity to 25 or maybe 35, it's entirely up to you. Just going to roll with 25. Distance to 25 and size to 25, and this just makes it look like it's hovering quite high above the image. Obviously if you don't like that look, you can drop down these settings a little bit, but yeah. So now we've got that. The only thing we need to add now is the actual, like, kind of what I prefer, what I refer to as like an Apple gloss. And what I mean by that is when you ever see a Apple like product, like an iPhone or an iPad, you'll notice there's always this same gloss effect on it. This one here. So that's what that's about. So basically we're going to create a new layer, and we're just going to clip this again so it only shows within this area that this rectangle is. It's actually a square, but yeah. We're going to go to our Polygon Lasso tool, and we're actually just going to make sure we just select half of the image, but from top right to bottom left, like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to our gradient tool, and we're going to make sure we have a white to transparent white. Obviously this does still matter what color this is, otherwise you get this weird gradient going on. If you don't have this and you only have solid ones, just go to one of the top needles and change the opacity to 0, and then change both the bottom needles to white, and you get the same thing. Make sure you're just on linear, you're not on reverse or anything. 100% opacity, and we're just going to hold shift to keep this straight, and we're just going to kind of eyeball it here really. You don't want it too much, you probably want to start quite far away and then make the gradient kind of end like a third down it, like that. That looks good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in a bit because it's not actually coming from the corner here, and we're just going to move it over because we can, because we're clipping this. So obviously we still get the extra space around to move it. and then we're going to set this to linear dodge add, and we're going to drop the fill to about 25. Now when we zoom out, you can see it just adds that nice subtle gloss look, and it looks lovely. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move this over here for now, and we're going to work on the text. We're going to bring in some ruler lines here so we can just line everything up. So Control R to bring up the ruler lines if you don't have them, and then you just drag from. And I selected the background layer, so it brought up the transfer marks, and that means the rulers can snap to it, so we can snap it perfectly centre. My Photoshop's been weird, right? Yeah, just let me. Sorry, sometimes it just won't let me press shortcuts. It kind of like thinks I'm tabbed out or something like that. So now we're going to go to our text tool, and we're going to create one saying now playing. This one's going to be the font I was using, Helvetica. It's a paid font, so if you want it, you can obviously go pay for it, or obviously you can get it other ways. Wink. But I don't think I should be sharing that stuff. I'm pretty sure you can self it. You know what I'm on about though. But yeah, but if you don't want to do any of that because you're against all that stuff, you can literally go download this font here, which I'm not even going to try saying because I'm going to make a fool of myself, and it looks pretty much the same as you can see, if not cleaner in some situations, but it really does kind of mess up when you start using like things like this because it's so close together. Look at them hashtags and that bracket in there. Look. I don't know. It does pretty much does the same job. So yeah, and that one's free. So, but yeah, we're gonna have now playing. We're gonna have the name of the song. In this case, it's called Eclipse. And then we're gonna duplicate that. I'm just duplicating the text layers by holding, make sure I'm on the correct layer, and then hitting Control J to duplicate. And then we're just gonna click this, and we're gonna change this to artists and the album. So in this case I'm just going to call it Eclipse EP. This is going to be set at 30 points. Eclipse is going to be set to 24, and now playing is going to be 24 as well, I believe. Actually, I might be wrong. They're both 24. I thought they were both the same size. So we're going to set this to 24, now playing to 24, and Eclipse to 18. That's a lot smaller than I thought it was. I have to double check. Is that light? And that one's ultra light. Okay, so the name of the song is set to light because obviously there's many thicknesses for this font. That one's still ultra light, and the top one is light, so it's a little bit thicker. Then we're just gonna set these, line these up so now they're perfectly separated. You probably don't want them perfectly separated. Maybe do. Then we're just gonna add that semicolon, make sure everything's centered. If you want to center stuff, you can hold Control A, which selects your whole canvas, and then you can use these ones up here. This middle one here centers it horizontally, and this one centers it vertically. Actually, swap them. That's the wrong way around. Reverse what I just said, and that'll be correct. Now we've got this, we're going to set these to overlay, and then we're going to create our music player. And the now playing bit was brighter, but we're going to get the colour for that from this next part here. So we're going to go to our rounded rectangle tool, we're going to pull this out, we're going to set the width to 500 and the height to 8, and make sure the roundness of the rounded rectangle is max. We're going to do that Control A center trick. And then we're going to set this to overlay, then we're going to Control J to duplicate, and then we just drag this to wherever we want, how far along we want the song to be, so half in or whatever, to keep it all lined up. And obviously this is the colour we want to copy, so we want to go to now playing, make sure it's not on overlay. Then we're going to go to colour picker, and then we're just going to select this colour, so we kind of get the same colour. Obviously this is not set to overlay now, so you don't kind of get that slight variation in colour, because obviously overlay is dependent on what's behind it. So obviously if there's different colours and shapes and stuff going on, you're obviously going to get that show through ever so slightly, but in this case it doesn't show through slightly because we have such a quite a plain background. It's a nice background, but it's very plain, but it works. So I usually wouldn't recommend putting text on overlay unless it's Well, actually, nah, scratch that. You can do whatever you want, I guess. It just becomes a problem if the background ever changes or the text is ever going to change. Mainly the background though, because that is what's going to affect how easy it is to read. So sometimes it's just better to just make the colour similar to the background if you want it to blend in like that. But yeah, we're going to go back to our text tool. We're going to click and we're going to put like 130. This song's 130 along. Make sure that's 14 and set to ultralight, so it's nice and thin and clean. That's what I like about this font, it's so clean. It's lovely. Make sure this is white and set to overlay. You could have it like that, but a white set to overlay. I'm going to duplicate that, Control J, go to the snaps, and then we're going to put 3 minutes because that is half of 130 is half of 3 minutes. Boom. Now we're going to probably keep that there. I'm going to drop these down. That looks good to me. We'll put them out there. And the only thing now we need is the pause and play button. To select multiple layers, you just hold Control and click layers. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our rectangle tool and we're going to make a rectangle. 12 width, 40 height. 40 height, maybe a little bit smaller, like 10 width, 30 height. And we're going to duplicate that, move it to the side, and let's center that. As you can see, that's a pause button. And we're just going to merge these together now because we know we're not going to need to change these. Keeps it a vector layer, that's really nice. If you're not on a new version of Photoshop, that's probably rasterized that layer if you joined it together, which means if you try and size it now, like this, you'll notice it won't stay, clean. Which this one kind of hasn't. I can kind of see a slight change in pixel, but I think that's just the shape in general. But yeah, that's just something to bear in mind. If it's not a vector shape, then you can't blow it up anymore. And by blow it up, I mean scale it up really large, because you're going to lose quality. So now to make the skip song or previous song thing, we're going to go to our custom shape tool and we're going to select a pointed triangle, and we're going to click and then hold shift, because if you hold shift above on a shape layer, you'll notice you get this plus, means it's adding that shape to the shape layer. As you can see, it hasn't added a new layer, but when I don't click and hold shift, it creates it on its own layer. We want it on its own layer, and we're just going to scale this so it's the same size as the pause button. We're going to hold shift and we're going to rotate this 45 degree on its side. Duplicate it, Control J, and then move it to the left. Make sure it's kind of just overlaying it a little bit so it looks like a skip button. And then we're going to merge these together, the same with the pause button. We're actually going to hold shift and alt to scale these down a little bit. Now we're going to hold Control J to duplicate, and we're just going to flip this horizontally. So you can go to edit, flip horizontally if you wanted to there. And then we're just going to put this about there, and we're going to wait for Photoshop to tell us that is perfect distance apart, just like that, voila. And now we're going to set these to overlay. And now you pretty much have, once I move everything into the correct position, slap this over here, slap this here. That's the only problem when you're using the clipping mask. You'll notice it will actually select stuff outside what you actually want to. So either to line it up with stuff, you can just click on the original look, kind of then judge that, and kind of judge that like that. You can see that's pretty much centered there. Or you can merge it, hold Control. But then if you merge something with a drop shadow, obviously it's going to show the drop shadow. So yeah, you're kind of busted here in this situation. But what you could do is right click on here, copy the layer style, and then right click clear layer style, join these together, that's duplicate, and then paste the layer styles, and then you can move this, and it's obviously it shows up the correct transform marks that we want to see, so we can line this up properly. And there you go, you pretty much have what I had before. I think the one I did before was a little bit cleaner, but it's the same idea. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please like the video. If you disliked it, obviously you can dislike it. Feedback will be nice about the mic and obviously the tutorial, and if you have any requests for tutorials, you can put that in the comments below. And that's about it. I will see you in the next tutorial, guys. Thanks very much for watching, and peace.